where some of my furniture went. I mean, I can picture them like my table at Christmas time with that family that bought the table. So repurposing is really, it can be quite fulfilling when you do it too.
Exactly. And I'm going to tell you how I did that. I'm going to tell you the next thing I want to tell you about real quick is I call them clutter code chains. And it's the third thing you have to be aware of. And then I'm going to circle back to this rehoming and resources. So what I found in this 31 days and what I realized as I was going through everything was you have people, the reason they get paralyzed out or it's really hard to let go of items, there's three things. And the first one is a money clutter code. It's guys sometimes a little more than women, but it really doesn't matter. It's I paid so much for it, I couldn't possibly let it go, or it's going to be worth something one day, etc. Got it? Yeah. And so the other one is what if. Go ahead.
We've all been there. So, and then there's what if.
Yep. What if clutter code chain? They all weigh heavy on us, and it keeps us in our stuff. So the clutter code, the what if is, what if I need it one day?
Yes.
Well, what if I can't find it? What if they quit making it? What if so-and-so finds out that they gave it to me 30 years ago and I decided to give it away? They might get mad. I mean, but those are very real things, you know, not for everybody, but for a lot of people that I work with, it sure is.
Oh, yeah. The reason I'm laughing is because I think all of us have been there. What if somebody finds out I threw it out? What if, so we can all relate. Very good information.
Yes. And so what you're starting to see here is that clutter tends, if it's clutter, it tends to evoke anxiety, fear, guilt, and that's really heavy, and it weighs on us. So it goes so deep. And I'm not a psychologist, but I've lived through this, so I know, and most people I've worked with have as well. The third and the largest is the heartstrings. Remember, my daughter said, everything in this house is a heartstring to you, Mom. You know where it came from. You know who gave it to us. You know the story. You know how much you paid for it, what the great deal was, and that's truth. So, and it's the heartstrings, and it's like so-and-so gave it to me. Or it, you know, I remember where I was in this moment. You know, there's just heartstrings to that. So those are the three clutter code chains. And the reason you figure out your oasis first is because it starts to feel a little lighter to you. Even though when you start getting into decluttering, which is hard, if it wasn't hard, we'd all be living in clutter-free oases anyhow. So it is a hard thing.
Hi, Brenda, you're cutting out a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm talking right into my phone.
We've lost.
Are you here? Uh-oh. I'm still here.
Okay, good. I'm glad you're here.
My phone is showing the bars. Where did I leave off with you? The oasis?
Yes.
Okay. So it's important to know about the clutter code chains way back in the oasis, because as you are, you know what you want your oasis to be, and it feels lighter, and it's a light at the end of the tunnel when one of these, if not all three of these clutter codes, start to weigh heavy on you. They're still here? Okay. So then the reason you do your resources next, where you're going to rehome something to, like you said, it was easier knowing a family was going to be using this table this year at Christmas time. So if a clutter code starts coming up like, oh, what if, or the heartstrings, if you know where you're already sending these items and that people can use them and what's going to happen with them, it's easier. It totally keeps those clutter codes at bay. And I ended up, and you know, because the money clutter code is there too, and I needed money, and I had paid, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars for this stuff. I had to think about it. I never had a storage unit per se. Remember, I was getting a bigger place, or, you know, and larger mortgage or larger rent. I couldn't take a smaller place. What would I do with all my stuff?
Right.
Just needed to get rid of it. But so you put those three things in place first. Because I also found out through this, the average American household has a minimum of 300,000 items. I don't know if that's counting all the pieces of paper,
I
but
bet
that's a
we
lot.
had, yeah, that's a lot. But I think I can imagine it.
Yeah. So in my process, I have the rule of four because, we get stuck. And I love, I think a little bit of everybody's ways, Marie Kondo, Peter Walsh, the Swedish Death Method, all those have some valid points in them. But, I think mine's the best because it finally worked for me. I got through it effectively and quickly. And I don't have any regrets. That's something everybody always asks me. But 300,000 items, but you've only got 4 types of things in your home, and that's it. And so when you're going through this, you look at everything and you touch everything because you got to either pack it or get it out or put it somewhere anyhow. So you have the things that you honestly need, that you really use, and that you truly love. And the fourth thing, everything else is empty clutter. If you do not use it, you don't need it, and you don't love it, it doesn't have to be all 3 of those things, but at least one of those 3, it's empty clutter, and it does not need to be in your home.
Right.
It
Right.
needs to be rehomed. As you said earlier, most likely there is somebody else out there who is waiting for it and can use it and will go on to love it or use it or need it.
Right. Right.
And yeah, and so if you already have the resources and you're holding on to something that I don't like a great grandmother left for you, and I'm not using it, I don't need it, and I really don't love it, it's okay to let that go and to
And you know
rehome
what?
it.
You know what
Go ahead.
we did, Brenda? Because my husband can be quite sentimental. I'm sentimental too, but he's really, really sentimental. And so what we ended up doing with some of those items that we probably couldn't, we know that we wouldn't use them. We ended up taking photos of them and photos of him standing with them or whatever, so that we someday I'm going to put some of those photos like in a little photo coffee book so that we have them close
Yeah,
to us, because it's still part
absolutely.
of you. It's still part of
Mhm.
you, and so you're still keeping it with you. It's just that it's not taking up the space.
Right, right. And I had this beautiful china cabinet. I loved my dishes. I still love my dishes. But anyhow, I had it custom made. I never thought about it. I had it. I now know why they usually make them in 2 pieces because they're heavy if they put them all in one big piece. But I remember there's this perfect smaller, less rent property, and I told the person I couldn't take it because my china cabinet wouldn't fit in it.
Right.
Everything. I still kick myself to this day. And I
Right.
remember my daughter saying, "Really, Mom?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I got to have this because we put all the china in it." Da, 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 da. But I
Yeah.
knew coming back to Virginia, it wasn't going to fit in this bus. And
Right.
somebody else did take it, and it was wonderful. And anyhow, so I don't those I did this very quickly, but the biggest thing you start with your oasis. You figure out where things are going to go, and you ask family members if you're in a location and
Right.
there's people that want things. Go ahead and let them have it. If you give it to them, though, it's then theirs. You have
Yeah.
to come to terms with it's theirs. And if you find out that they've sold it or they've moved on with it or given it to somebody else, that's okay because it's theirs. It's no longer yours.
Right. You
Some
gave
people
it.
won't part. Yeah. But
Yeah.
you're creating your oasis. So I'm not going to tell you that you can only keep 33 pieces of clothing or that you can only have 10 books. I think those are kind of popular things out there. Um, the other thing that you learn in this process is that you are not your stuff. Your
Mm-hmm.
items do not represent who you are,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and um, and they don't represent necessarily the actual feelings that you have with somebody else. My
Right.
youngest daughter talks. I don't know how close to time we are. I don't have a clock in front of me, but
Well, you know what?
um,
You know what
yeah.
I'd like you to do, because we're going to continue this conversation, Brenda, and I'm excited. So what I'd like you to do right now is be able to tell the guests, because some of them might not be here next week. So I would love you to tell our audience how they can get a hold of you. And you have brought along a free gift to tell them about. So why don't you tell them about that right now? And then we're going to get to talk a little bit more next week also. So yeah, tell them about how they can get a hold of you.
Excellent. You can follow me on my website, and there's all kinds of places there. You fill in your name and your email address, of course, or you can just email me directly. But it's Smaller Living Huge Life. This is long. SmallerLivingHugeLife.com.
Okay, perfect.
I don't know. Will there be a link here will there be a link below for people to
Yes.
have that? Perfect. Mm-hmm. Okay. And there should be a link directly to my free gift. And we talked about resources in this. So when you are going through to figure out where you want your resource, where you're going to donate your things to, or have an estate sale, or whatever you're going to do with it, I have the freebie link here is actually a resource page. It's not a list of all the places that you can get it to, but it's like a worksheet. When you see something on the website, you write down the website. If there's a contact person, an address for them, the hours of operation, what days do they accept items?
Okay.
Do they pick up? Do you have to get it there? All these little things. So if you have this copy, whether you make a lot of Xeroxes or you just keep it digitally, if you have that way you have a running list of what each organization does, and you don't have to go through it over and over. Or if you're doing this with another person, they say, well, what do we do here and what do we do there? You just have it all in one location, and it makes it so much easier.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Brenda, and the audience appreciates it too. And I'm so glad we will have you back here next week. So I'm thankful that you are here today, Brenda. And for our audience, remember, it is never too late. It's never too late to declutter, to downsize, to lose weight. It is just never too late to go after your dreams. It is never too late to live a life of purpose. It is just never too late ever. Thank you for being here today. Thank you, Brenda. And we will see you all here next week.